Finally, I'm back from my procrastination streak and I have decided to work on a new video. After all, my last video I uploaded was like a month ago, but anyway, I'm back with another banger, ranking all tier 10 submarine, tech tree plus premium combined, because why not? Totally, I could have done some better videos, but I thought, you know, I need to face my fears. As a fellow World of Warships player, my worst nightmare are submarines, so yeah, I ranked them all. So moving on, our contenders are American Balao, Gato and Archerfish. Then we have the German U-2501 and U-4501. Then we're heading to T territory, the UK with Thrasher and Seal. Lastly, the Russian K1. And we will rank them in 4 tiers, starting as S tier, A tier, B tier and C tier. Now let's get something straight before we dive into tier hell. Submarines are like the pineapple on pizza of World of Warships. Either you secretly love them and won't admit it because you fear the community backlash, or you hate them so much you considered uninstalling the game. But today, we're turning pain into content. I've crawled through the depths of submarine gameplay so you don't have to. From the classic sneaky rat gameplay of the U-boats to the annoying battery-hogging British pingers, we're putting all the tier 10 subs under a massive sonar scan and ranking them with one goal in mind: finding out which ones are cracked and which ones belong in the C tier dungeon of regret and uninstall button. And no, this isn't based on just feelings. I've looked at the torp damage, reloads, stealth, ping mechanics, dive capacity, and whether the sub makes me question my life decisions every time I see it surface behind me. Alright, let's start with the American tech tree menace, the USS Balao. The tier 10 sub from the land of barbecue sauce, bald eagles, and battleships that sail in straight lines like they're on autopilot. Balao is the US Navy's contribution to psychological warfare in World of Warships. Not because she's terrifying like some of the busted subs we'll get to later, but because she's just annoying enough to feel personal when she pings you twice and then disappears like your ranked win streak. Let's break it down. Balao comes with hydrophone, submarine surveillance, and rudder shift mod. A classic trio for players who want just enough info and maneuverability to pretend they're in control. Her dive capacity recharge, which is decent, not insane, not I can stay underwater for an entire match and vibe like U-4501 levels, but enough to be flexible if you plan your dives like a grown-up. Now, her ping reload is 9 seconds. Stock, pretty respectable. Definitely not quick enough to spam it like you're in a Call of Duty lobby, but still fast enough to keep cruisers nervous. She's not breaking any underwater land speed records, but she's not crawling like a glacier either. Where Balao shines is her torp layout, 6 in the front, 4 in the back. That's a lot of torpedoes. It means if someone's chasing you and you're out of pings, you still have a full backup plan called surprise butt torps. And trust me, nothing ends a destroyer's day faster than eating a full rack from your rear tubes while you casually vanish below 30 meters. Her torps themselves are American standards, not the cracked ones, but they hit hard if you line up your pings right. The alpha damage is real, and against players who can't be bothered to look at the minimap, you'll look like a genius. Now, Balao isn't busted. That's important. She's not the kind of sub that lets you make 10 mistakes and still walk away with 120k damage. You actually have to play smart. Think ahead, manage your dive time, and be patient. If you're the kind of person who dives right into 4 radar ships because YOLO, you're gonna die faster than an HE spamming Hindenburg in the middle of the cap circle. But if you play Balao like a stealthy opportunist, if you use your tools right, track targets, and time your ping and torp combos properly, she's deadly. So, where does she land in the grand tier list of submarine chaos? I'm placing Balao in A tier, demigod. She's not brain dead strong, she doesn't hand you free damage, but in the hands of a player with a bit of map awareness and a pinch of self-control, she's a menace. Balanced but strong. Annoying but not toxic. The kind of sub that quietly ruins people's games while staying under the radar. Literally. Now moving on to the Archerfish, that shows up to rank mode like it just bought premium gym access and isn't afraid to flex it. Yep, this is a premium submarine, so you already know it's gonna be extra. And just like any premium in World of Warships, it's built to make you feel like you either made a great investment or you just paid full price to suffer quietly underwater. There's no in between. So what do we get here? Starting off, 6 torpedo tubes at the front, 4 at the back. Basically the same as Balao in layout, but the reload is faster, sitting at 8 seconds stop for the ping. That's a full second shaved off compared to Balao. Doesn't sound like much, but in sub warfare, that 1 second can mean the difference between locking a perfect ping or getting obliterated by a radar cruiser with anger issues. But let's talk features, because Archerfish comes loaded like it just unlocked all the perks in a Call of Duty lobby. We've got hydrophone, submarine surveillance, speed boost, heal, extra battery, and combat instructions that increase dive capacity, recharge rate. And yeah, I know someone's gonna say, bruh, who are you gonna shoot with that? And listen, fair. Most of the time, they're as useful as a Minotaur in open water. But occasionally, you'll find a low HP DD that has no idea you're surfaced behind an island, and that's when you become a budget gunboat with vibes. Dive capacity, 320 units. That's a huge upgrade from Balao. You stay submerged longer, play with more patience, and don't feel like you're constantly racing the oxygen bar. Combine that with the combat instructions that speed up your recharge once activated, and suddenly Archerfish starts feeling like a sub that plays the long game. And speaking of long game, that speed boost, it lets you reposition or dive away when someone drops depth charges. But let's not get too romantic here. Archerfish isn't invincible. You still need to manage that extra battery. It's great for staying down longer, but if you burn it too early, you're stuck playing peekaboo on the surface while a vermin stares at you with 18-inch judgment. So where do I rank her? Archerfish goes a tier. She's just too well-rounded to ignore, but definitely a premium worth owning if you want solid performance without rage quitting after 5 minutes. You get tools, you get consistency, and you get to stay alive longer than your average Balao main who forgets to dive when spotted. Now let's talk about the HMS Thrasher, or as I like to call it, the absolute unit of the underwater world. Seriously, this thing is huge, like comically big. If Submarines had a sumo division, Thrasher would be headlining the tournament. It's not even exaggeration. Thrasher might just be the biggest sub in the entire game. And when you're in it, you feel like you're steering a cargo ship underwater, not a stealth vessel. And before anyone says, oh, but size doesn't matter, okay, tell that to the destroyer who spots you from Narnia. The moment you get anywhere close to surface level or anyone pings near you, every BB player in the lobby starts lining up their salvos like you're the free damage piñata. Not only are you slow to shift around, but your ability to avoid enemy torps and planes feels straight up cursed sometimes. Now, in terms of actual gameplay, Thrasher does have a few things going for it. You've got hydrophone, which is the standard tool for most subs, so you're not flying blind. Submarine surveillance is there too, but in very limited doses, which honestly feels weird considering how gigantic this sub is. You'd think they'd at least give it more tools to survive the hunt, but nah, just enough to get a taste before you're left guessing where the depth charge planes are coming from. The dive capacity sits at 340 units, which is fairly generous and gives you some breathing room to dive deep or stay hidden a bit longer when things get spicy. It's not infinite, obviously, but if you're smart about it, you can make it last long enough to relocate. Diving speed is 3.5 meters per second, which isn't bad. It's good enough to make small adjustments, reposition, or crash dive when a Fletcher screams around a corner out of nowhere. The torpedo layout is actually solid. You got 8 torps up front and 3 in the back, which gives you some flexibility, especially if you're rotating angles or setting up staggered spreads. And the torpedo ping reload is 7.5 seconds, noticeably faster than some other tech tree subs. That makes Thrasher more aggressive in a fight, and it lets you keep constant pressure on battleships or even cruisers that aren't paying attention. But the issue is, aside from that reload and generous torpedo counts, Thrasher doesn't really bring anything special. It doesn't have combat instructions, no extra battery gimmicks, no heal, no speed boost. You're big, you're visible, and once you commit to an approach, you better hope you either kill your target quickly or that their support ships are on a coffee break, because you're not making a quick getaway. So where does it land? I'm placing Thrasher in B tier. Good enough. It's not bad, it's not amazing, but it's certainly playable. It won't carry games solo, but in the right hands and with a bit of caution, it can do serious damage. It's one of those subs that punishes recklessness and rewards the slower, more methodical players, the kind of people who actually read minimaps instead of using them as decorations. Alright, next up, let's talk about the U-2501, the Tier 10 tech tree German submarine, and basically Germany's polite way of saying, we hate you, but in a methodical and efficient manner. If you've played it, you already know this sub is the silent assassin type. No crazy gimmicks, no flashy combat instructions, no overpowered utility, just clean, clinical torpedo work and the smooth confidence of a machine built to do one job and do it well. Visually, It's got that very sleek German design, like if BMW made a submarine and decided to delete all cup holders because efficiency is more important than comfort. And gameplay-wise, U-2501 is definitely one of those you either get it or you die trying kind of subs. It's not made for YOLO rushing or chaotic dive bombing DDs from 5 meters away. It's more about setting up engagement, playing angles, and punishing positioning mistakes, which makes sense because that's basically the German national gaming style. You've got hydrophone, of course, because what's a sub without one? Submarine surveillance is also there, which is good for keeping track of the inevitable enemy sub that's trying to ruin your peaceful torpedo meditation. U-2501 also has access to the extra battery consumable, and that's where it quietly flexes. That extra dive capacity regen makes it so much easier to reposition or chill below surface level while everyone's frantically trying to guess where you went. It's like having a stealth cheat code on a cooldown. Now let's talk stats. You've got 6 torpedo tubes up front. That's it, no rear torps. So once you commit to a target, there's no reversed Uno card if they suddenly turn around or if a destroyer pops up behind you. Dive capacity is 280 units, which is a little on the lower side. You really have to manage it carefully, especially if you're spending a lot of time underwater waiting for a perfect shot. If you burn through it too fast and get spotted while trying to surface, well, hope you enjoyed your trip, because you're about to get depth charged straight into the spectator menu. Diving speed is 3.4 meters per second, which is decent. It's not exactly zippy, but it gives you enough wiggle room to reposition, adjust your angle, or do the classic dive and pray. When a radar cruiser starts scanning your soul from across the map, ping reload is 7.5 seconds, which is actually quite solid. Fast enough to be aggressive, but not so fast that you can just brainlessly spam pings and hope for the best. So what's the verdict on U-2501? I'm putting it in A-tier demigod. It's a strong sub, it's consistent, it doesn't try to be flashy, and honestly, it doesn't need to be. It rewards careful play, situational awareness, and good map knowledge. But at the same time, it doesn't really carry those get-out-of-jail-free cards like some other subs do. There's no burst mobility, no heal, no goofy gimmicks that bail you out if you make a bad approach. You mess up, you're done. It's the type of submarine that thrives on punishing positioning errors and punishing them hard, which feels pretty German, let's be honest. But if you're too passive, you'll find yourself running out of targets or dive time really quickly. You've got to find that balance between aggression and stealth, and if you do, U-2501 will deliver. Now, let's talk about the U-4501, Germany's premium submarine that looks like it was built specifically to be your worst nightmare when you're just vibing in open water. On paper, it doesn't look that wild. Only 4 torpedoes up front and 6 in the back. But oh boy, don't let those numbers fool you. This thing is a certified ghost ship. Its dive capacity sits at a modest 210 units, and its 3.4 meters per second dive speed isn't the fastest, but it doesn't need to be. Why? Because it was literally designed to fight underwater, not on the surface. That's right. The U-4501 has a unique trait. It performs better submerged than it does topside. That alone makes it the stuff of headaches for battleship players who aren't watching their sonar. The torpedoes are short range, sure, but they reload quickly and hit like an underwater freight train. And just to make your life worse, the U-4501 is stacked with tools. It's got a heel, a hydrophone, a sub-surveillance consumable, and that all-important extra battery. It can run, hide, strike, and recover, all while your team wonders why their flanks are melting. The only downside? A 12-second ping reload, which is noticeably slower than others. But honestly, that barely matters when your whole game plan is based on stealth and savage surprise attacks. Sub is not here to play fair, it's here to win dirty, and it does that incredibly well. When played right, it's one of the most toxic and, let's be real, most effective subs in the game. It punishes slow-moving targets, punishes bad positioning, and punishes your will to live if you're caught alone in a destroyer. So yeah, U-4501 easily gets the S-tier label from me. It's not just godlike, it's a sea demon. Alright, next up on the submarine tier list is the K1, the tech tree sub from the USSR. And yes, if you thought K1 sounded like an off-brand energy drink, wait till you try playing this thing in a high-tier match. It's definitely an experience. So what does the K1 bring to the table? Well, it's got a fast DCP, which is limited in charges but super useful when someone decides to spam depth charges like they're confetti. It's equipped with usual recon gear, hydrophone, sub-surveillance, and a literal deck gun for when someone gets way too close for comfort. She carries 6 torpedoes in the front and 4 in the back, which sounds decent until you look at the rest of the stats. Dive capacity, a mere 210 units. Diving speed, 2.4 meters per second, painfully slow. You'll feel every second of that descent while destroyers are already lining up their depth charges. Oh, and don't forget the ping reload, a whopping 17.5 seconds. That's not just long, it's basically a coffee break. You could check the minimap, scratch your nose, and lose half your team before your next ping is ready. So yeah, the K1 isn't exactly built for aggressive plays. It feels more like a wait in the shadows and hope someone makes a mistake kind of sub. It does have moments if you position well and sneak up on some poor BB that forgot to equip ears, you can dish out some real pain. But outside of that, you'll often find yourself running low on dive capacity, low on speed, and just generally feeling like you're playing in slow motion. With all that said, it's not unusable. If you enjoy playing on hard mode and you're very aware of positioning and timing, you can make it work. But for the average player, it's just not offering enough to be anything more than a niche pick. So, yeah, K1 gets a B tier from me. Good enough to survive, but definitely not good enough to shine. Alright, time to talk about the seal. No, not the animal. And definitely not the singer. This is the brand new Tier 10 British Premium Submarine, and let me tell you, it's got premium written all over it, both in the price tag and in the gameplay. At first glance, Seal looks kinda quirky. Compared to most other subs packing 6 or 8 tubes up front, this thing feels more like a snorkeler with ambition than an apex predator. But here's the catch. Those torpedoes hit like a truck. High damage, scary homing, and when you land them right, people disappear faster than a carrier player getting focus feared. Now, Seal is also rocking a pretty nasty fast sonar ping. Long duration, snappy lock-on, and if you're good with your timing, you can chain hits and make DDs cry. Add in a stealthy approach, and you've got a sub that can make surprise attacks feel really unfair when it works. But that's the thing, it doesn't always work. Seal suffers from some pretty big drawbacks. First, it's slow, like really slow, underwater or on the surface. Either way, you're not zooming around like some of the more agile subs. And don't get me started on the dive capacity regen. If you go too deep too early, you'll be spending the rest of the match praying for your battery to crawl back. Also, the detectability? Not great, especially compared to other sneaky subs. So unless you play it sharp, smart, and a little bit sweaty, Seal becomes less of a killer and more of a free kill. So where does it go on the tier list? Yeah, sorry British fans, but this one's hitting C tier. It's got the right ingredients for a spicy premium sub, strong torps, good ping, and stealth potential, but the execution just doesn't hold up. You're gambling every time you dive into a match. One wrong move, and you're getting depth charged back to port in under 2 minutes. And finally, we wrap things up with the mighty Gato, the premium tier 10 American submarine that basically screams, "I'm here to ruin someone's day," and maybe miss half my torps doing it. This one's got some old school energy with a splash of high-tech trolling. You get 6 torps up front and 4 on the back. Solid spread, but here's the twist. These torpedoes are non-homing. Yup, Gato is that one sub that doesn't believe in aim assist. You want to land hits? You better learn to predict enemy movement like you're reading their mind 2 islands ahead. The upside though is that these torps are fast and they have range for days. You can snipe cruisers from another zip code if your timing is right. That's kind of Gato's vibe. If you're good, it's disgusting. If you're not, it's just a very expensive spectatorship. And it has hydro, sub-surveillance, rudder shift boost, the full suite of please let me outplay this guy tools. Combine that with 240 seconds of dive time and 3.3 meters per second diving speed, and you've got yourself a premium sub that wants to stay alive and hunt like a predator. It has a gun too, which is mostly there for decoration, but hey, if you find yourself surface brawling in a Gato, you've already made a bad life decision. Now, Gato's biggest strength is also its biggest barrier, those torpedoes. They don't home, and that makes it a high skill ceiling sub. You actually need to play like a sub-captain, not just a homing missile technician. That means smart angles, ambushes, and sometimes pure luck when the enemy decides to just not turn. If you're used to the point, click, hit style of homing torps, Gato might feel like a punishment, but if you master it, it becomes a lethal long-range shot with zero remorse. So yeah, I'm putting Gato firmly in the A-tier demigods. It's powerful, clever, and deadly in the right hands, but it ain't forgiving. This thing won't carry you, you have to carry it. Think of it as a precision instrument, not a blunt tool. And once you start landing those 10k plus salvos from 10k out, you'll never go back. And that's the list. Every tier 10 sub, tech tree, and premium, ranked and roasted. Some of them felt like true hunters, cold, calculating, and lethal. Others felt more like inflatable pool toys trying to play war. But hey, that's Submarines in World of Warships. You either stealth your way into legend, or you get spotted and depth charged into meme history. If you made it this far into the video, first of all, you're a real one. Let me know your own submarine tier list in the comments, especially if you think I absolutely disrespected your favorite pixel boat. I won't apologize, but I'll pretend to listen. And as always, subscribe if you haven't already, because I do this out of pure love and unhinged commitment to pain. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Hopefully not from 300 meters below the surface with no dive capacity left.